everyone, welcome to Movement and Me, an initiative that is designed for budding artists across the world who wish to pursue their career in art. I'm your host Niharika, and on this show you will hear artists talk about their lives and the choices they had to make in pursuit of arts. We will also get to use some tips and key learnings from the lives of these artists, along with a detailed discussion on their areas of interest. So quickly hop onto a journey into the world of arts along with us. Today's guest is Miss Heather Francis. Heather works at BYU Arts Partnership as a research and curriculum coordinator and Arts Bridge program director. She serves as the publicity chair and advocacy director for the Utah Dance Education Organization and in the Dance and Child International DASI organization as chair elect of the DASI USA board and board member of the DASI Utah. She taught beginning, intermediate, and advanced dance in the Granite School District, as well as 8th grade math and social dance. As part of her education, Heather has completed her master's in teaching artistry from Wayne State University. Let us all welcome Heather today. Hi, Heather. It's nice to have you here with us today. Thank you for doing this. You're on mute.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for letting me share my voice and not be muted.
Oh no, we can't have that. Well, so we're just gonna get started, like dive right into it, because I think all of the audience members will also be curious. Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you get started, and what brought you into this field of dance in the first place?
Well, when I was a young girl, I was 3 years old, and I lived in Farmington, Utah, in the United States. And in our city, we had an amusement park, the only one in our state. And there was a cute little trolley that would pick us up on Main Street and take us to the amusement park since we were residents. And my favorite part of the amusement park was the entertainment, the dancers, the singers, the performers. And I didn't want to go on any rides. I just wanted to watch the performers. And I knew when I was 3 years old, I pointed to the stage and I told my mom, I want to do that. I want to dance and sing. So she immediately put me into lessons, and I studied tap and jazz and ballet for a few years, but then I stuck with ballet most of the time through my childhood. So from about 3 years to 18 years, I studied ballet at a classical ballet school called Clyde Adams School of Ballet in Kaysville, Utah. And that was sort of my formal training, but I also had experiences at my junior high school and my high school where I was able to participate in our public dance education programs. So when I heard about modern dance in junior high, we would always just laugh and make fun because we'd like, they just roll on the floor and flex their feet, like everything that ballet isn't. And then I moved to Texas. I didn't get to dance as much there, but I continued some ballet training. When I came back to the same high school. And all my friends were a part of the modern dance company and the program. And I wanted to be with them. And when I saw them perform this exciting, like creative dance form, I just wanted to be a part of it. So I tried out for the dance company and learned that I love modern dance and just fell in love with it. So, but then I went to college, and I always thought after I graduated from high school that was the end of dance for me, that I needed to focus on like a career that, one that my family approved of, because I come from a family full of engineers, and I would always get books for Christmas that were titled Women Engineers throughout history, and very strong tradition in the sciences. So I was always interested in that too. So I thought I would become an engineer. But my senior year of high school, when I watched Alvin Ailey Dance Company perform Revelations at Kingsbury Hall at the University of Utah on a field trip, and when I got to choreograph my own dance for a concert, something blossomed inside of me that just made me think, could I really like could I keep doing this after I graduate? Does it really have to be the end? Because I felt so inspired and so enlivened by those experiences. But I didn't know if it was practical. So I went to Brigham Young University on scholarship from the state of Utah to become a teacher. I thought, if they'll pay for my tuition to be a teacher, I'll be a math teacher and not an engineer, because we need math teachers, and that's still like we have a shortage of math teachers, so I'll always have a job and I enjoy it. And, free tuition is really an excellent opportunity. So I started taking math classes, and I started taking dance classes because I just love dance so much. And
That is amazing.
yeah, I eventually asked the question of the university. I said, do I have to get a math teaching degree to keep this scholarship? And they said, no, you can do any teaching degree that you want. And there was a dance teaching program at my university. So no questions asked. That was my choice. And that's what I wanted to do.
Oh my God, I think that is an amazing journey. But you know what? I'm actually very curious to ask a couple of questions with you, but I'm going to start with the most interesting one that caught my attention. What was it about that performance that you saw? I think this was in high school, right?
Mhm.
What was it about the performance that actually made you want to go back to dance? Because I think you kind of mentioned that you received books about women in engineering. What kind of shifted for you when you saw that performance? Revelations.
Yeah, I remember sitting in the audience in the velvet red chair,
Hmm.
and I was in the balcony. I couldn't see, every detail of the human form on the stage, but the choreography and the narrative and the story of this of Revelations, and the waiting in the water and the sinner man. And even though I was just sitting in my seat, I felt something change in my body. Like physically, I was having this visceral experience where, as a human being, I was being transformed, and it was important, and I could feel it. And I caught the vision of what the arts do to us as individuals, which then can transform community, and just get that little taste of how important the arts are to my community and to society. I didn't know that at the time. I didn't have words like that, but now with hindsight, I can see that that was the little spark that I felt. And also seeing just professional performers, like I hadn't seen contemporary dancers at that level before, and the human body and what they could do and their aesthetic, just it was inspiring.
This is actually very interesting because a lot of times we don't realize, but our trigger points are situated in performances or something that we just experience, and the experience is not just visual or auditory, but it's more embodied, and we don't realize what ticks us, but something does, and it's just fun because we don't realize it and we don't expect it to happen the way that it does, which makes it all the more interesting and exciting for anybody who's interested in pursuing their dreams. And it comes at a time when we are probably doubtful or confused. I think the way I look at it, these are just signs, is what I call them, signs from around you, in helping you make the choice that you technically wish to make eventually, although you are confused because you have too many things in front of you. So I think that's something very interesting to talk about. Thank you so much for putting it out there. My second interesting question is about dance and math. I saw that when I was introducing you as well. There's a little bit of an information on the fact that you teach eighth grade math and social dance, and I've seen you present a paper in NDEO this year, which is all about social dancing as well. So can you tell us a little bit about your relationship with math and social dance, and then maybe we can have a conversation on what your paper presentation this year was about?
Yeah, so even though I chose to be a dance educator and pursue that major and degree, I also completed a minor in mathematics education, because I couldn't let go of that part of me that I still really wanted to honor. And in the case that there weren't any dance positions available because having a dance teaching position full time in a public school is not as available as math. Though I think they should be the same. I wanted to just have that security as well. So um, right when I got out of school, I went straight to teaching at a middle school, and I was actually a full-time dance instructor. And I taught dance one, dance two. I said I wanted to teach social dance because that's one of my favorite classes to teach. And then I directed a dance company. But then we had a schedule change, and then we had to add in a few classes into our schedule. And that's when I told my principal I would teach math. And his eyes sparkled because I said, I'll only teach math if I do it in the dance room, because I really believe in the embodied experience. And I wanted students to experience movement patterns as fodder for learning mathematical patterns and reasoning mathematically. So, I taught my 8th grade math students in my dance studio. About probably 40% of the time we would be doing movement activities and then relating them back to our paper and pencil work and to our standards. And it was seriously a dream come true because I love both subjects so much. And I think that when you marry them together, there's so much opportunity for learning.
Wow. Oh my God. So yeah, I mean, it's as a dance educator today myself, I find myself constantly juggling between the idea and of, including and inculcating concepts from their teaching curriculum into our arts, and then trying to sort of give them an embodied experience into learning difficult concepts, such as, say, for example, the human body, or just the idea of playing with numbers, like you said, because numbers play a huge role in movement and dance, particularly in terms of rhythm, in terms of the angle that we use with to make different shapes in the body. And it's just interesting to see how all of this comes together in movement as well. So tell us a little bit about your submission in NDO this year. Although I did attend a little bit of it, it's because it's your baby, you should talk more about it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I presented about what I have studied in terms of consent education in social dance class, because I had an experience when I was teaching social dance, which was I would have about 40 students of various backgrounds from many different countries, speaking many languages. In my class, we would learn cultural and folk dance forms, and then we'd study like American ballroom and other social dances from other regions of the globe, like cha-cha, salsa, bachata, merengue, and just teach the students how to create appropriate physical connections with each other through movement and rhythm and the cultures of these dances. But I always had a rule that students had to say yes to every invitation to dance. And I'd have the boys ask the girls, and sometimes I'd have the girls ask the boys, or sometimes I'd just say, anybody ask anybody. But I wanted it to feel safe. I wanted, my middle school students to feel safe developing these social skills that are very new for an adolescent. And one day a girl came up to me and she said, I really can't dance with that boy. And I, immediately my teacher voice was like, well, that's the rule and that's what you have to do. But when I looked over her shoulder and saw who she was dancing with, I actually wouldn't want to dance with him either. I love all my students, but I also have to develop trust with my students. And this was a student who exhibited some bad behaviors. So it was a moment when I realized that social dance provided an opportunity to teach consent education, that you when you're uncomfortable and you notice that in your body you are uncomfortable, you get to have a voice and say, no, I don't want to do that.
I think that's a very important thing to talk about as well, because as dancers and as human beings, there's this issue of consent that we are facing today. And just being able to use movement and this idea of embodied experience to teach students what consent means and how important it is to ask for consent in their adulthood particularly, I think puts us in a space where we can actually make a huge difference in the world, in the lives of these teenagers, because it's kind of tough today with everything that we're being exposed to. It's kind of tough to know what's the right answer and what's the right choice to make. And it's important for us to be able to guide people. So this, I think, brings me to my next question, where you are, in the dance Utah Dance Education Organization, and you're as serving as the publicity chair and the advocacy director, and also in Dance and the Child International Organization as chair elect. So do you want to tell us a little bit about both of these and what is your role? Maybe get started with Darcy first, and then we can go from there.
Yes. So, Dance in the Child International is spelled with a big capital C because it's all about the child. And I was introduced to this organization when I was a freshman in college, and we traveled to Jamaica to perform with a dance company from the university. And I experienced this blending of cultures, this sharing of cultures, and then it was all centered on allowing children to have a voice in the creative process. And it was so transformative for me to see children empowered with creative choice and with choice making. And so I've been involved for the organization for over 10 years now. And we work on, we have a national gathering every 3 years where we have dancers and dance companies and studios and families and friends come together, and we have creative classes, we have cultural classes, and everybody gets to participate in a performance together. It's an intergenerational performance because everybody gets blended with all ages and all abilities. So it's a very community building experience. And then on another cycle, we have international conferences. And then on another cycle, here in the state of Utah, I help produce an event for every year because we're obsessed with it here. We love dancing with our families. And so I have found this organization is really like my home. And it's where I've made like the richest connections and built really deep relationships with people across our country and the globe. So that's Daisy. And UDEO, the Utah Dance Education Organization, is where I get to keep a temperature of how schools and dance educators in schools are doing. And as the advocacy director, I write white papers and brochures, and I update the website, and I manage the marketing and social media to just share the stories of educators in the studios in our schools. I've advocated for social dance standards, for endorsements for ballroom teachers. We've worked on like preventing injury in the classroom and like the state's guidelines for what can you do in class to keep students safe and make sure that they're physically well. And I'm also in charge of the awards because part of advocating for our field is awarding each other for doing great work. And my high school dance teacher, I just got to surprise her a couple weeks ago with a big group of people, not a big group because, you know, we're all masks and trying to socially distance, but the superintendent of the district and some like the school principal, we all showed up and surprised her to let her know that she was getting the Lifetime Achievement Award for our state. And it just thrilled her. And it was such a privilege for me because she was the one who took me to see Alvin Ailey. So to honor her for her work as an educator was really special.
Oh my God, that is so great. You got to sort of, just pay your respects and show how much you admire her. And I think that's just amazing. Oh my God, that's just a lot. So I kind of got what I got from this conversation is that you are doing a lot of work. You wear different hats because you perform different responsibilities. And I think it's just interesting to see the kind of work that you indulge into. I do have something to ask you because I remember you and I having a conversation about it. I remember you telling me that Darcy also advocates for protecting children from exploitation, particularly with the current scenario of students and children being exposed to a huge amount of these dance
Mm.
performances and events on the television, which kind of expose them to the negative sides. And there's a lot of performance pressure on these students to, just present a kind of quality work. Can you talk a little bit about that as well? Because I think it's important, particularly in today's world where we see that, even in India for that matter, there are so many reality shows that are pressurizing children, young children as young as 4 to 6 years old, to perform their level best. And a lot of times, the kind of performances these students are observed to perform are not really necessarily something that they understand, not just, you know, both mentally
Hmm.
and physically. Because sometimes the movements are just not meant for a 4-year-old to perform. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yes. So Daisy deeply subscribes to the idea that child dance education for children should be developmentally appropriate. And that means that for young children, the hypersexualization of the movement that they're introduced to is not okay. And that through Daisy, by focusing on the creative process and allowing children to be the artists creating the movement, that we are helping to preserve the innocence of childhood, and that we are allowing them the opportunity to be a child for longer and to experience and develop and self-actualize in their childness and be the artists that they are at that age that they are. And we really believe in yeah, just developmentally appropriate pedagogy and brain centered pedagogy. We have Anne Green Gilbert is one of our founding members of the organization, and she's the um, credited as the author of the Brain Dance. So we have a lot of somatic and brain integrated research with the dance education that we promote in Daisy.
That is actually amazing. Just to hear you talk about it, I think shows a lot of shows me, and also gives me the sense of happiness that there's a lot of work that is being put into this particular site. Because I think it's high time we talk about certain things and we do something about them. And I'm glad there's somebody out there who's already working on it. So I'm hoping that in the future, you and I get to collaborate on some of these events, and we can do something together in India as well. Maybe you can have like a Darcy International India event too eventually.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And
Yes.
Daisy has twinning events where you like pair groups from different countries to create
Okay.
something to share at an international.
Mhm.
So you bet we're gonna twin.
Absolutely. I think I'm going to hold you on to that one. I have another question for you. And I think this question is slightly different from the previous one, because I'm curious to know, how are you able to sort of manage the idea of wearing different hats and working towards different things? Because I know that you also train and you also conduct professional development sessions for dance educators across your country. If you can talk a little bit about that work as well, because I know that also has a huge role to play in whatever you do in your spaces. And I think you also you curate content, like curriculum content, that the teachers can use in their classrooms. Can you talk a little bit about your work in that field?
Yeah. So currently my full-time employment is with the BYU Arts Partnership, and my title there is Research and Development Coordinator. But really what I'm doing is instructional design. So I'm designing professional development for elementary school teachers so that they can use drama and dance and music and visual arts, media arts and literary arts in the classroom. So we do some online training, we do in-person training when we're not in a pandemic, and I get to work with artists at our university who also serve as presenters in those programs. And then I also get to go with university students who are training to be future teaching artists. And I get to go with them into our elementary schools and mentor them as they like just start their journey into being dance and theater teachers. And that's really fun. I also get to do research. So when we train teachers, I often will do some qualitative research in how the experience is for them, or why they feel that they need experience in the arts, or how they develop as an artist as well as a teacher. And then I also get to develop websites and online trainings and um, like design, a lot of design work. So that's mostly filling my plate right now. And yes, it's many hats, but it's all just being a dance lover, and a lover of children and education. So it's a lot of hats, but I keep it all together because they really come down to like the core idea that I want to change our communities and better the future for our children through the arts.
Wow. uh, uh, Tell us a little bit about how you feel, because I know while you are definitely saying that you keep them all together and that it all works one by one, hand in hand. Tell us a little bit about all of it. I mean, uh, how do you move from one to the other? Because I know that it's all of them are full-time work, and it's not like you can just take one bit of it and then just work on it on one day, and then you can work on the rest the other days. How do you manage it all? How do you manage the stress? How do you manage the workload? What is your strategy to get this going? And why do you think you have chosen to indulge yourself into so many things? I think I'm just curious to know, how do you do it and why have you chosen to do it mostly?
Okay, well, I'll give some ideas, but I'm certainly not an exemplar at some of these ideas. But these are some things that I try to keep in mind to stay a little bit sane, because I think you have to be maybe a little bit crazy to say yes to as many things as I have. So the first thing would be no therapy. Like I do have to practice no therapy frequently and say, no, I can't do that right now. But when you work with a team of great people, even when you say, no, I can't take care of that today, if you have the right connections and the right team, other people can pick it up. And basically, you have said yes, you have helped to get something done, but you have approached it with humility and honesty and said, I can't do my best work right now if I say yes, so I'm going to hand it to someone else and ask for help. So I found that really I can only get it done. I can only get what I would like to see accomplished done if I work with others, if I have collaboration and a team, because whatever one person on the team does, we all get credit for it and we all, get supported that way, even if, my only role was making the connection between someone's strength and a project that needed to be completed. And then the other thing is momentum. Like I just have to keep momentum going. And of course, we do have need of pause and stillness. But one of my strategies for keeping momentum going and is to take bite-sized pieces and to tune in to where the energy is like most concentrated, put in a little effort and get like a bigger reward. So um, I'm really into like efficiency right now and just keeping momentum going. So that means when I get a big email, the ones that are like, oh man, this is going to take some real thinking and some real writing to respond to, I just take it little by little, because the more timely things are responded to, the more the momentum goes. And actually, the bite-sized chunk assignments are easier for me. It's the big giant projects that like you can't eat it all at once. So um no therapy, really important. Keeping the momentum and really trusting and using your team. Those are the things that are keeping me through.
Well, that is actually amazing to hear. I think these are things that everybody can work on and keep in mind, because it is important to sort of give yourself that break as well. Like you said, it's important to talk about it and to also take it for yourself, to acknowledge the fact that you are at the end human, and it is only natural for you to feel overwhelmed at times. So it is important for you to take that, sort of tell yourself, okay, you know what, this is great, but at this moment I'm already working on this, and I think I'll need a break after this because this has been extremely exhausting for me. So, as artists, we also have to keep the fact that we need our creative juices going, uh, because at the end of the day, that's what is the essence of who we are, the creativity that we bring to the table. And I completely understand and I completely agree to whatever you've said. So, tell us why you chose to do this. I think I understand the how, but the why, I'm curious about the why.
Mm. Um, well, I've been thinking a lot about this too because I finished a master's degree and then the next day I started another one and I'm like, what am I doing? Why? Why am I doing this? Like I just finished so much work and why am I doing it again? Um, and why do I say yes to so many things? And it's um well, one of my big motivations is my family. Like I really want to um I want to help with my husband provide the life for my children that I hope they can have, where they have opportunities to experience the field trips to Alvin Ailey like I did. And so that my family can be in a place where we can help others who need help. I want to have time and resources to contribute and to be generous. And it doesn't matter how much you have to be generous, but I want to feel like I can contribute in a special way. Um, I know just from awareness of my thoughts and how I feel in my body that I was given a gift of being able to have like my passion for these things is a gift, and not everybody has the same passions, and not everybody is given the same gifts. And when I've listened to the feedback of my mentors and my teachers, and when I've been still and listened to my thoughts while I'm driving in the car or dancing or walking, the things that come and make me feel alive and inspired are the things I have to follow. So I've had a lot of questions about why I do what I do, but it comes down to this is what I was given to do. This is part of my unique experience that I have to honor. Like I kind of wanted to be that engineer, but my light didn't go that way, and I had to go with where my light was going. And so yeah, I want to do all that I do because I feel that it really blesses my family. And I also think that I was called to do these things and they're part of my mission in life to pursue. I'm not perfect at it, but this makes me happy and I hopefully makes other people happy too.
I think that's beautiful. uh, I have always like all the time that I've interacted with you, you've always been a very giving and generous person. I can say that about you. And I think it also reflects in your work, in the kind of work that you produce. Just the other day when I was following you on Instagram, by the way, she's on Instagram, so you should definitely follow her. She puts up some very interesting posts, and there's a lot of learning there as well. We will definitely provide your Instagram link on in the description for everybody to sort of click on and go get access to. But I think one of the stories that I saw was you posting stories about the students that you worked with in high school who are now training to be teachers themselves. And it was very useful to see such young students taking up teaching on their own as a profession that they want to continue pursuing. Because at the end of the day, teaching is all about you having made the choice to do something for the society and wanting to give something back. Also, at the same time, it is also about wanting to be in a position where you can make a difference in the lives of students, no matter who it is at the end of the day. And I think that's just a very powerful message there. And it's written Heather all over there in the work because that's just who you are as a signature. It's just amazing to see the amount of work that you're producing, and I'm just honored to have you here. It's just, I just have no words, honestly. uh, so I have a completely slightly different question for you, but I think it's also something that I want to address because these are questions that are there. Everybody has them. You are wearing so many hats, you have so much of work that you take care of. At the same time, you've recently become a mom. And I love Oliver, by the way. He's just amazing and beautiful. But what can you tell us as aspiring women, young entrepreneurs? What do you think you can tell us about being able to work along, and how do you think it is going to, affect? And because I feel like when you are a working mother, it also impacts and sort of has a sense of effect on your child, because the child also sees and grows in an environment where he sees that both the parents are independent and quite devoted to their work, but at the same time quite loving in the household as well. So can you tell us a little bit about how you work with both of these things, and any maybe any message or anything that you would like to share with us all, so that we as young entrepreneurs can also find our way in this space?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very new to this. So I mean, I have recent experience, just not a lot of it. But a couple things have been really important to me in transitioning to motherhood. And the first thing is that I had a colleague when I became pregnant and I started to say no to a lot of opportunities so that I could focus on growing this beautiful child that I was going to meet. Um, she said, I want to do a dance with pregnant women and I want to support mothers who are artists. And she created this group and we got to create a dance film together and we got to rejoice and celebrate together after our babies were born. And she made us all feel seen as artists who entered into this new chapter of motherhood. So find your support group when when you are juggling motherhood, because there is this amazing mom club that I didn't know about that that you become a part of. And even if you don't have children, you can be a part of it. It's just this club of women who exist on the earth who understand what it's like to have the feminine experience. And not to say that men can't empathize with that, but um, that was really important for me and has supported me through the transition. The other thing is after I had Oliver, I started seeing a therapist, and I thought it was really important that I have the opportunity to talk about the changes with someone who had a specialty in addressing those issues. And I learned two really important things from my amazing therapist. She talked about how when you have a baby, your brain activates a new function, and it's the function of observation of your child. So my baby could be doing like just a very simple gesture, but I know that what he wants and what he would like to do. Like Oliver was kind of doing this one day, and I knew he wanted to put a water bottle down and he wanted to clap his hands. And I said it out loud. And then all of a sudden he did it, and everyone was like, whoa. But literally, our brains are built as women to activate and like collect all this new information. So that made me feel really strong, because it means that I can take care of this child and I can take care of my work. I can hold a lot in my brain because it was built to hold a lot and to do a lot of multitasking. But with that said, I have had to make a real effort to say I love you to out loud, verbally, to Oliver and to my husband all the time, because you can get distracted and you can become so busy that you forget that other people need and other projects need attention. So having a nighttime routine, saying I love you a lot, and then letting art be a part of our family culture. So yes, I go to work and I talk about the arts and we draw and we dance and we do facial drama games. I bring those home and I make them a part of our family culture so that hopefully Oliver sees that what I do during the day when we're not together is also in support of the culture and the feeling that I want to have at home.
Wow, that's a powerful message for anybody who's listening, because I think, yes, sometimes it's important to bring all of that home as well, so that your children get to experience it, and they don't feel isolated from whatever work you're doing outside as well. I think another strong message that you've given to everybody is that therapy is important in certain stages of life. It's just important to be open to it and to want to learn more about yourself and to understand and accept the transitions that you go through as a human, because change is eventually inevitable and you can't run away from it forever. You will change and evolve as you grow based on what circumstances you're a part of and you're living through. And I think I personally take therapy myself, and I completely agree to what you just said. It's important to understand yourself before you're able to maybe, just make judgments or pass judgments about anybody else. Because at the end of the day, your response is in your hands. And what you do about your response depends on how much you know about yourself. So I
Mhm.
think, yes, therapy is a big yes from me as well. And I think it's important to go into therapy. And I think everybody should go through therapy at least once in their life just to know more about who they are. Um,
Yeah, or to find access to the tools because sometimes, like, I know I'm stuck and I know who I am. I'm a stuck person, but I don't have the tools to like get unstuck. So having a professional provide me with some new tools that I couldn't find on my own
yes.
is very valuable.
I agree. I think that's you're absolutely right on that front. Um, so I think on that note, on mental health, encouraging people to take care of their mental health. I'd like to thank you for being part of this entire process. I am so excited because there's so much that everybody can learn from this interview, and there's so much that people have got to know about. There is a lot more about Heather Francis that we have not been able to touch upon. I'm adding her website description below. So just click on the link and go explore yourself. She has done some amazing work. She has even choreographed some pieces. One of them is called Tessellation, which I got the opportunity to watch, which is, I think, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, integrates dance with mathematics. It kind of explores some concepts. So go ahead and take a look for yourselves as to what Heather has produced and the kind of things that she works with. Thank you so much, Heather, for being with us. I am hoping to stay in touch, and I'll definitely do something about the Dance Utah International thing with you.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. I always love being in conversation with you, and you inspire me as well.
Oh, that's sweet. Well, I'm not sure just yet, but I'm hoping to eventually.
You definitely do.
Yes. Thank you so much, Heather. Thank you all for tuning into Movement and Me, an initiative that is designed for budding artists across the world. To continue receiving notifications on our latest episode, please subscribe to our YouTube channel Natya Mandalam or look us up on Apple Podcasts or Spotify for more information. I'm your host Niharika, and I'll see you all next time.